evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Maisy Mok. Here's a look at tonight's top stories. National Security Police are offering a $1 million reward for the arrest of each of 8 wanted persons who fled Hong Kong. The Hong Kong Palace Museum may raise its entry fee after making a loss in its first year of operation. And at least 7 Palestinians are killed and dozens injured in an Israeli air and land assault on Jenin. National Security Police are offering a reward of $1 million each for information leading to the arrest of 8 wanted activists who fled Hong Kong. 3 former lawmakers are on the list. Chloe Wong reports.
Police are seeking 8 Hong Kongers who fled the city and are offering rewards of $1 million for information that will lead to their arrest and prosecution for allegedly threatening national security. They are former lawmakers Dennis Kwok, Ted Ho, and Nathan Law. Lawyer Kevin Yam, political commentator Elmer Yun, the father-in-law of legislator Eunice Yong, activists Lau Cho Dick and Anna Kwok, and former unionist Mo Siu Tak. They are accused of national security violations, including collusion with foreign powers, and demanding sanctions against Hong Kong officials. Police said they will continue searching for evidence, although the 8 cannot be arrested unless they return to the city.
You never know. Maybe someday he come back to Hong Kong through other illegal means. That kind of information should be very useful for us. So all we have done is just prepare. One day he back to Hong Kong, he effectively arrest them, and make the justice done.
National Security Police say although the wanted persons are aboard, they can still undermine the safety of Hong Kong and China. The national security law also applies to Hong Kongers aboard. Officials said offering a reward can help in the arrest of the 8 suspects. Police urged them to surrender, saying the courts may be more lenient if they do so. Chloe Wong, HKIBC.
An elderly woman has been killed after being hit by a car while crossing a road in Mong Kok this morning. The 79-year-old woman suffered severe head injuries and was unconscious when she was taken to Queen Elizabeth Hospital, where she was declared dead. She was flung 15 meters after being rammed by the car, which failed to brake in time at the intersection of Tong Mi Road and Mong Kok Road. The 46-year-old female driver was arrested and charged for dangerous driving causing death. Travelers may have more time to spare as the frequency of the Airport Express returns to pre-COVID levels. From Wednesday, there will be a train every 10 minutes. The railway operator also announced the resumption of Cathay Pacific's in-town check-in service. Passengers can check in for their flights and drop off their luggage at Hong Kong Station from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. But the service at Kowloon Station remains suspended. The Hong Kong Palace Museum has welcomed almost 1.3 million visitors since its opening a year ago, but it still recorded a loss. Financial sustainability remains a challenge as the museum looks for ways to boost revenue. Cheryl Yun reports.
Children arriving at the Hong Kong Palace Museum this morning were given souvenirs to mark its first birthday. Since it opened, the museum in the West Kowloon Cultural District has attracted 1.3 million visitors, more than half of them from the mainland and overseas. On display by rotation are antiques and art pieces from the Palace Museum in Beijing and from cultural institutions around the world. Hong Kong Palace Museum Director Louis Ng thanked the public for their support. but pointed out the financial challenges facing the museum. He said his museum and the nearby M+ Museum recover 40% of their costs. Said this is better than other museums worldwide, but noted that it is impossible for operational costs to break even. The museum admitted it made a loss in the first year, but did not provide a figure. It is now looking for ways to boost revenue, including suspending free entry on Wednesdays and possibly raising ticket prices. Said the museum will balance public affordability with its ability to continue to provide high-quality exhibitions. The fifth rotation of artifacts loaned from the Palace Museum was launched today. Most of them are on show in Hong Kong for the first time. They include 2 Grade 1 national treasures displayed in Gallery 5. This ewer in the shape of a pine tree is a bamboo carving from the Ming Dynasty, while a brush pot in the shape of a Chinese cabbage comes from the Qing Dynasty. Visitors to Gallery 1 can get a glimpse of an ancient wedding inside the Forbidden City. The piece titled The Grand Imperial Wedding of the Guangxu Emperor documents different stages of an emperor's wedding. Visitors can also see the only known surviving gold seal of an empress. The new exhibits will be displayed until September. Cheryl Yun, HKIBC.
The Immigration Department is seeking details of a Hong Kong man who was one of 8 people killed in a nightclub fire in Cambodia. The blaze in the capital, Phnom Penh, broke out at around 5 p.m. yesterday, while the nightclub was being renovated. The other victims were 5 Chinese and 2 Vietnamese nationals. All of them were renovation workers who suffocated in the blaze, which was reportedly caused by a short circuit. Cambodian police detained 4 people for investigation. The SAR Immigration Department has contacted the Foreign Ministry in Beijing and the Chinese Embassy in Phnom Penh for information on this 46-year-old Hong Konger. China is preparing to welcome U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, the latest official Washington is sending on a fence-mending mission. Yellen arrives in Beijing on Thursday on a 4-day visit for talks on a wide range of issues. A Treasury official said the United States is seeking a healthy relationship with China, adding that a breakdown in trade ties will destabilize both countries and the global economy. Just 3 weeks ago, President Xi Jinping met U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Beijing. The contacts between the sides add momentum to expectations that Xi will meet U.S. President Joe Biden later this year. At least 7 Palestinians have been killed and 30 injured in a massive Israeli military attack on Jenin and a refugee camp in the city. Israel deployed drones and hundreds of troops in a sharp escalation of violence in the occupied West Bank. Sachin Katfi reports.
Israel launched what it called a counterterrorism operation with drone attacks on an apartment block which it claimed was used as a command center by the Jenin brigades. As the assault progressed, smoke billowed from several buildings. The sound of gunfire and explosions could be heard across the city. Heavy armored vehicles and more than 1,000 Israeli troops were involved in the operation, which focused on finding weapons and ammunition. The Israelis said they seized rocket launchers and explosives. Electricity to many parts of the city was cut. Ambulances were busy ferrying the injured to hospital. The latest raid was seen as a response to the deaths of 4 Israelis last month after Palestinians avenged an attack which killed 7 people in Jenin. The killing of the Israelis prompted Jewish settlers to go on a rampage in Palestinian towns and villages. Israeli Foreign Minister Eli Cohen said efforts were taken to prevent civilian casualties, but medics in Jenin are struggling to treat the wounded. Sachin Katvi, HKIBC.
Days of violent protests in France have taken a fatal turn, with a firefighter dying in the line of duty. Public sentiment is also souring after an attack on a suburban mayor's home left his family injured and traumatized. Raymond Yang reports.
Interior Minister Gerhard Damenon was out on the streets of Haas, inspecting the damage to the city northeast of Paris after yet another night of riots. In a tweet, Damenon confirmed that a 24-year-old firefighter died while dousing a blaze in an underground car park in Saint-Denis. Another 157 people were arrested across France overnight, a significant drop from 719 the previous day, as the government tried to quell the worst unrest in recent years. There was outrage after a suburban mayor's family had a brush with death early on Sunday morning. Vincent Jeanbrun's wife and their 2 children had to run for their lives after a car was driven into their house, setting it on fire. Jeanbrun was in his office at the time.
Hier soir, ma femme et mes enfants ont été extrêmement choqués.
The mayor of La Haye-la-Rose, south of Paris, said his wife broke her leg. He said the attackers were out for blood because they knew there were people inside as the lights were on. The violent episode seemed to have swayed public opinion against the protests. Many felt the death of teenager Nail Mersok was now being used as a pretext for violent crimes. Even a 17-year-old's family called for the destruction to stop. But his grandmother said she was heartbroken after learning so many people had donated more than $1 million to a fundraiser to help the policeman who faces manslaughter charges after shooting the youth. Raymond Yang, HKIBC.
Retail sales in Hong Kong have risen for the 6th month in a row, but a trade association was not impressed by the performance in May and expects it to take time for businesses to recover to pre-COVID level. The value of retail sales in Hong Kong in May surged 18.4% from a year ago to $34.5 billion, thanks to a rebound in tourism and consumption sentiment. Sales in May and April were boosted by the Golden Week holiday, but the Retail Management Association was not impressed by the total value in May, which was a tad lower than April's.
The thing is, after the Golden Week, the sales dropped quite significantly, and we see that the sales is quite driven by the festival or long holidays.
The return of tourists boosted the sales of jewelry, watches, and valuable gifts, which jumped 52% year-on-year. Purchases of medicines and cosmetics also surged by the same percentage. Sales of fish, livestock, and poultry dropped by 14%, and furniture and fixtures decreased by 9%. Yao Zhe said it will take a long time for businesses to return to pre-pandemic level.
We just have to do our best and observe the economy situation in China. That will dictate the buying power of tourists from China, from mainland, how much they are willing to spend in Hong Kong.
The government expects retail sales to continue improving as the number of visitors increase. The Hong Kong stock market has shaken off a weak first half of the year to start the next 6 months on a strong footing. The Hang Seng Index rose 2.1% to a 2-week high. Investors were encouraged by hopes that Sino-US relations will improve and the prospects of a generous stimulus package from Beijing. Techs were again the leaders, with JD.com and Baidu gaining 4.5% each. A jump in the sale of electric vehicles last month boosted the sector. XPeng surged 16.5%, and BYD added 4.5%. Now let's take a look at the markets. The Hang Seng Index ended the day up by 390 points. To the top 10 active stocks, Trigger Fund was up 39 cents, Tencent was up $6.40, while Alibaba was up $2. XPeng was up $8.25, while BYD company was up $11.20. To the forex trading against the Hong Kong dollar, euro is at 8.54. The British pound sterling is at 9.93, while the Australian dollar is at 5.21. And currently in the UK market, the London FTSE is up 22 points. On to the weather now. It will be mainly cloudy with a few showers tomorrow. Temperatures will range between 27 and 32 degrees. Sunny periods and showers are expected in the following days. That's our main news for Monday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Maisy Mok. Thanks for watching. Good night.